codes verified. Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
Episode.
Did you know the Tostitos logo
I
has
am
two people
trying
eating chips?
desperately when I count down that we're gonna go live. No. Shut. You know what? I'm just gonna mute you guys right now.
This is specifically Cuban related.
No, mute. Hello, captains, and welcome to the live broadcast. Welcome to the live broadcast recording of Priority 1 podcast. I can't with these children because when I count them down to go live,
we're impossible.
Impossible. All right, whatever. You guys are unmuted now. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I'm quietly here, just waiting for the go ahead.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. I appreciate.
What a dick.
By the way, I'm Anthony. I'm Anthony. He's Tony.
Right.
No, he's
right.
He's Tony.
Legacy Tony. Wait, who's now back Tony? Who's now? Wait, I'm so confused now. Who am I?
Anyway,
who are us really?
Thank you,
It's
Mr.
Tony
Cox,
Classic, the throwback.
for not being a dick. So thank you very much. Anyway, hi everybody. I don't know who's watching us right now because I'm pretty sure everybody's off watching the live stream with the Voyager reunion. So if you're watching us right now, like Jason Smith, thank you. Kudos, shout out to you, to Tracy who stopped by and already said hi.
Right now that you've said that, our numbers are just going to go down. And
sure. Yeah. And by the way, if
you're watching us right now, what the hell
it
are
went
you
from
doing?
25 to 22 just now.
No,
there's a Voyager thing on? What the hell?
Why are we doing a show?
Yep, there they go. Everybody's
leaving. Everybody's gone.
The mass exodus.
The mass exodus. All right.
But before you go, you could replay this later.
Replay what later?
Our live stream.
You can also replay the Voyager thing later. How about them apples?
I don't know about that.
I'm sure it'll live somewhere.
It will.
I'm sure. Anyway.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Facebook numbers just took a dive.
All right. Well, thanks, Anthony. I love talking about our broadcast numbers on live. It's great. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure it's public knowledge. Everybody can see that number.
we could talk about things like corporate logos like the Tostitos logo and the Amazon logo and the FedEx logo and drive even more people away.
Nope, let's not. I'm ready to talk about Star Trek news because that's what we do here each week on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern.
That's what it says on the box.
None of this. That's what it says on the box, and we're going to follow instructions like good little boys, girls, and non-gender binary people. Okay? So...
It's a nice mug you got there, Anthony.
Thank you. Yes, my wife got it for me. She also got me a teaspoon rest that says Tea Earl Grey Hot, and it was custom made.
Very nice.
All right. You guys ready?
Well, you guys are gonna do a show. I'm gonna go watch the Voyager thing. I'll see you in a couple hours.
All right,
Oh,
see ya.
wow.
Bye. Bye, useless.
Wow. You just got dropped. You were dropped like we're hot.
Like a hot potato.
I'm going to hit the... Everybody do a sound check before we started? Everybody good?
I'm doing a sound check to make Elijah happy.
You say that. You say that with such disdain and feel and tone of annoyance. But you know what happens is that when I don't ask, that's when it goes wrong.
Hey, you know what I say? Don't ask, don't tell.
See, over at the other show, we do it the intro sync 1, sync 2, and if everyone's squiggles are good, we know it's good. And if
But
they're
I don't
bad,
feel-
we say stop, and then we fix it.
Right. Well, that other show can continue to do things the way they see fit.
This show that shall not be named.
And that show, when
guard frequency.
when
He said it. Don't say it 3 times.
I dare
Yeah.
you, okay, I encourage
Henry
you.
will appear.
Yeah. If we say it 3 times, Jeff shows up, and then it's all
See, it's
downhill
named
from
backwards.
there. Yeah.
All right.
Hey,
anyway,
does
I'm going
Does this make you feel better? See, like I got a little bouncy green. Yeah. Wow.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Have they been this annoying every week?
No, it's just because you're here.
It's just because I'm
'cause
here.
you're
Oh,
here.
okay, all right.
We're trying to make you look good,
man.
dude.
Well, I won't be here next week, so
Yeah, we can calm down then.
yeah.
I'm going to hit the big red button to start this
Seriously,
show.
the Tostitos
In
logo.
3, 2, 1. This is Elijah. Intro, sync 1.
This is Anthony. Intro sync 2.
It's Tony intro sync 3.
This is Skivvy intro sync 4.
Intro in 3, 2. Tony, why don't you do it?
All right. This week on
Yeah,
Priority, One.
Oh, whoops, sorry. I thought you meant. My bad.
All right. This week on Priority One, we trek out Star Trek Picard's possible series longevity, Sir Patrick's history with Star Trek, Mike McMahon's vision for Lower Decks, and what Simon Pegg knows about the next Trek film. Spoiler, it isn't much. In Star Trek gaming, Star Trek Online goes to Red Alert, takes on rubber banding, and Star Trek Timelines announces its newest event.
Okay, intro in 3, 2. Hello, Captains. You're listening to episode 462 of Priority One, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. Your weekly recap and review of all the major news happening in the Star Trek multiverse. This episode was recorded live on Tuesday, May 26th, 2020, and available for download or streaming on Friday, May 29th at PriorityOnePodcast.com. I'm Elijah.
I'm Tony.
And filling in for Cap this week is our dearest friend and social media manager, Anthony.
I'm back.
Woohoo!
He's back.
And in the audio booth is Skivvy.
You're untrue. I'll take
And in our audio booth is our chief engineer, Skiffy.
it. Joel untrue.
Before we jump into the news, we want to invite you to join in on the weekly conversations, whether via social media platforms like Facebook.com/Priority One Podcast, on Twitter or Instagram at Priority One Pod, or by email to incoming@PriorityOnePodcast.com.
Captains, every week I remind you that this production is in fact a labor. What the hell's wrong with me? Captains, each week.
Would you like that in alphabetical order?
Captains, each week I remind you that this production is a labor of love for all of us here at Priority One. No one pockets any money from the funds that. No one pockets any money from the contributions made by our sponsors or by our patrons over at patreon.com/Priority One. Now, I'm an artist, and I recognize that no work is free. It takes time and it takes effort. What I'm proud to say is that every one of our members is a volunteer who believes in the production that we do from week to week. We have audio engineers that actually do audio engineering as their day job, but they come and work on. But they come here to Priority One Podcast to dedicate and donate their time and talents to making sure that we continue to produce the quality content you've come to expect each and every week. So, visit us over at patreon.com/priority1 and check out all the cool perks that we have to offer to our patrons who offer a monthly contribution. For instance, we record a completely separate podcast called After Hours. You can also be a part of our exclusive Patreon Discord chat channel. And speaking of patrons, we do want to welcome Sleepy John. Thank you, John, for joining us. Thank you, John, for joining our Patreon family.
Now let's check out all the latest news from the Star Trek multiverse.
Everybody hit stop. I'm nervous today for something. I got nerves. I don't know why I got nerves.
You're just waiting to see what kind of hijinks and hullabaloo we get up to this week.
No, you know what it is? I'm
question
specifically disappointed in Skiffy. I expect better from you, Skiffy. I expect better. I expect
calling you out.
I expect you to behave better than these other
wackadoos.
Don't lump me in this.
Wackadoos.
You mean Tony specifically, because he's the only other one who's misbehaving.
That's true.
Well,
In
one
fact-
of the toadies.
In fact, when I posted
Which
about
one?
tonight's
Yeah.
live show, I literally put in there, "Will
Oh, I
Tony
saw.
behave?"
Hey, Elijah, I've got a
that's a silly
legitimate question for you.
What?
You must
right, the
you must
answer's
deal
no.
with nerves on the stage on occasion. What do you do to get your jitters out when you're about to perform?
Tequila.
That's not entirely untrue, but
Not entirely untrue. So there's an adverb and two negatives in there. So he's saying yes, double shots. He does the lime lick the salt off the hand and then the shot. I think that he's
Put the lime in the coconut?
yeah.
big shout out to some new names I'm seeing in the chat. Leo, what's up, Leo? And hey, I haven't seen Lawrence in a while. What's up, Lawrence? And yes, Panda, I do need another adult in the room. I do.
He's the youngest person here.
Skiffy's
an adult
Skiffy's
except
the
him.
do-gooder in the classroom that gets influenced by the bad kids, and the teachers
Eddie
talk to the
Haskell.
parents,
No,
and the teachers
he's
talk
Eddie
to the parents
Haskell.
going,
I've been called
he
Eddie
can-
Haskell many times before. No, that is that's
He's
fairly
absolutely Eddie Haskell. I would be good. I would be very boring and just staid about things, but then we get the Tostitos logo thing going on, and I'm just off the rails. I'm off the rails.
I see.
He's a bad influence, that Skippy guy.
So I'm curious.
But he's got a button-up collared shirt on, so I mean, he's looking respectable. Total
Looks
Eddie
the most
Haskell thing going
professional.
on.
So, before we move on to other Trek news, for those of you watching us live right now, did you get a chance to listen to our interview with Jonathan Del Arco? Our very super special secret interview that we were dancing around behind last week.
It was a good interview.
It was. I thought it was
I
a
enjoyed it.
great interview. I thought it was a great interview. We hit on virtually everything we wanted to hit on. I was hoping that when I asked him about when I was referencing Sir Patrick Stewart and Macbeth, about how the director told them to make a sandwich, I was hoping
Oh,
he
he
was
jumped
gonna.
on that.
Huh?
Well, he jumped on it.
Well, I was hoping
But
that he was going to talk about. There was an article I read that he was talking about that hug, that embrace with Picard, that there was that moment where he didn't necessarily know how to say hello to him, and
Right.
that's how. And so I was kind of hoping for that story, but it doesn't matter because we got some great ones, got some great things. So check it out. That's right, Pat. That's right. Richard Hurd passed away today, and we send our condolences to his family and friends.
Another one of those actors who was in everything
Yep,
and then
yep.
made his way into Star Trek as a recurring character.
Thank you.
I was a fan of his character on Sequest.
Thank you for pointing that out, Pat. All right, why don't we move on to some Trek news? I'm going to hit the big red button in 3, 2, 1, This is Elijah. Trek it out, sync 1.
This is Anthony. Trek it out, sync 3.
This is Tony. Check it out. Sync 3 minus 1.
Oh, son of a bitch. I mean, son of a gun.
Nice save. This is Skippy. Trek it out, sync 4.
Trek it out in 3, 2. Delays are an inevitability, even more so now during this pandemic. But with those delays comes anticipation and sometimes opportunity. At least that's what Star Trek executive producer and Oscar-winning writer Akiva Goldsman thinks. Last week, Goldsman sat down with Collider to discuss Star Trek Picard Season 2, how quarantine has changed the timeline, and how the delays may be a blessing in disguise. Goldsman discussed those inevitable delays. Goldsman discussed those inevitable delays, telling Collider, quote, "We were to start shooting in June, which I guarantee you we will not unless the world opens tomorrow. We had broken the season. We were about halfway through the writing of it. You know, we will start as soon as we can once the world opens, you know?" Actually, prep will have to resume, and then we'll start. You know what it is. We know what it is, and it's cool. End quote. In regards to Picard's early dark tone, as well as COVID-19's silver lining, Goldsman explained, quote, "I kept saying, they're reviewing the first act of a movie. The first act of a movie is always dark. If you stopped It's a Wonderful Life at the bridge, it's a really dark movie. Because fundamentally, in a long-form narrative, it's a redemption story. It's a healing story. It has to be bad at the beginning so it gets good at the end. Otherwise, there's nothing to fix. So we're in this weird world now where we create one narrative object, but we dole it out bit by bit, which is fascinating. And can be kind of fun. But what you really want is to be able to refine your setups once you've written your payoffs. If, in fact, you could have the time to write 10 hours first, that would be amazing. And maybe we will." End quote. We asked how many seasons Goldsman foresaw in Picard's future. He responded, quote, I think we have... Actually, I want to break this up. Tony.
Okay. When asked how many seasons Goldsman foresaw in Picard's future, he responded, quote, I think we have discussed it as both a season... I think we have discussed it as both a 3-season show, a 5-season show, and a let's just keep going forever show. Star Trek Picard, in my view, will go on as long as Patrick Stewart wants to do it. As I'm sure you know, he was not interested in coming back, and we did a lot of really good collaborative story breaking and talking. I think he's particularly delighted in a good way about having come back, and we will rely on that goodwill until he feels he's done. End quote. For the full interview, follow the link in our show notes.
I was reading a BBC article a few days ago about how, at least in the UK, production companies are looking to approach coming back to work. It doesn't seem as though there are any official memos or any official procedures, but I think that if you look at a production like The Mandalorian, for instance, on Disney Plus, I was shocked to learn that a majority of that series was filmed on a massive stage that was virtually covered in projections that
Yeah,
was
a big TV
virtually
screen.
surrounded by projection and green screen. It was insanity. It was like they were playing in front of a massive television.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was big TV.
LED wall. LED wall.
So when you think about green screen, when you think about this LED wall technology that the Mandalorian instituted, I could see how that could be beneficial for television production, right? You may not need as many people on set for atmosphere, or you may not necessarily need two actors talking to each other as closely as they might to capture a shot. So perhaps for filming, technology will be a good friend. Not for stage, though. They'll have to get creative for live theater.
There is a group of filmmaking professionals in California that have formed a group that are currently writing procedures for going back to filmmaking in California. And I know that the governor of California has mentioned that he does want to get television and film production up and running. And hopefully, you know, he can get together with this group and they can come to some sort of procedures. I also know that other production companies, I have friends who are still working or who have been working up until the start of this pandemic on film and television productions, and companies like Lionsgate have already released new filming procedures and how they're going to move forward once they're allowed to go back to work wherever they are. And so I think that there's definitely things going on in the background getting ready to go back to filming. I would not be surprised if California gets back to filming by July. I wouldn't be surprised at that. I think it's going to be tough and it's going to be slow, but I think that they will get filming before the end of the summer, and hopefully, you know, they can prepare as much as they can now and get, you know, season 2 turned around pretty quick once they do get it filmed.
The challenge is going to be for people who've already written things for the old way things used to be done. Maybe Picard will have it nice because they know they can write things. Okay, we can't have people like standing next to each other and, you know, helping each other up a ladder. They're going to have 2 separate shots, one person going up the ladder first and the next person going up the ladder after them. They'll have time to make those kind of adjustments for shows that haven't been written yet. It's the ones that are already sort of have the scripts approved and have had the executives give notes on it, and now they're stuck with, how are we going to shoot this when we can't have people in the same room together?
All right.
Plus, why use a ladder when you have a transporter?
Why use stairs when you have a shuttlecraft?
Speaking of Sir Patrick, the Picard star had a candid interview with CBS this morning about his history with Star Trek Picard and his daily sonnets. When asked by CBS This Morning, co-host Tony DeCoupel?
You're on your own on this one. I got no idea.
DeCoupel?
Dooku. Count Dooku.
Dude, I was just thinking the same thing. Hang on, I'll look it up.
DeCoupel. I'm saying DeCoupel.
Yeah, DeCalpel. Skippy will tell you in a second.
Tony
I was
DeCalpel.
hoping they'd have a pronunciation on his wiki page, but they don't.
DeCoupel. Just say DeCalpel. Just DeCalpel or DeCoupel.
You just said it 3 different ways.
Pick one and go with it.
DeCoupel? DeCoupel. When asked by CBS This Morning co-host Tony DeCoupel whether he always aspired to produce a series, Stewart said, quote, "No, I was too naive, too new to the game of series television. And I had so much work to do. I mean, the first couple of years, I didn't have a life or a social life at all. We'd work a 5-day week, 13, 14, sometimes 15-hour days."
Hey, Tony. Anthony, it's DeCoupel. Tony, I'm listening to him saying his own name.
That's what
Tony
I said, right?
DeCoupel.
I thought he said that.
I said DeCoupel.
Okay, just make it.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you said because I was listening to him
Okay.
say his own name. Sorry.
We'd work 5 days. We'd work 5-day weeks. That's not even a sentence. We'd work 5-day weeks, 13, 14, sometimes 15-hour days, especially towards the end of the week. And Saturday morning, I would allow myself to sleep in. And then I would do my own laundry, which, by the way, I still do. It's an obsession with me, end quote. Stewart was frank about his early days on the TNG set, saying, quote, I lectured my fellow cast members about some of the fooling around that was going on set and the games that they were playing and the singing and the jokes and the ruining shots. And there was this horrible silence. And it was Denise Crosby who said to me, Trick, come on, we got to have some fun. She called him Trick. And it was Denise Crosby who said to me, Trick, come on, we got to have some fun. And I said, we are not here to have fun. I said that, and that became, a legendary quote as I progressively. God, I've heard him tell this story.
There should be. I watched this video. I should be able to pull the audio.
And I said, we are not here to have fun. I said that, and that became, a legendary quote as I progressively got sillier and sillier as the series wore on. End quote. Finally, in regards to Stewart's charming daily sonnets, Sir Patrick said, quote, I had no idea what I was saying or what it meant, but there was something in the language, end quote. I love his sonnets, his daily sonnets that he's doing. I love Shakespeare in general, and I love when he delivers Shakespeare, and there's just something comforting in Patrick Stewart delivering Shakespeare on a daily basis from his home.
It's interesting when you take it, or when someone who's studied the text and actually understands what it's supposed to mean gets a hold of it and actually reads it out loud, because all of a sudden it stops sounding like a foreign language and starts sounding like somebody's old-timey uncle. Like, oh, I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, but now that you're saying it like that, with the vocal inflections and with the enunciations and the stresses on the right syllables and the words, he's classically trained. He's done it a million times, and when he just does it like it's nothing, it's like, oh, that's easy. And then you try to pick up on yourself, and no, it's not.
Star Trek's
Elijah,
first
Mike McMahon.
animated series since the 70s is set to air this year, and the buzz is starting to form around the upcoming Lower Decks. In the interview from our first story, Akiva Goldsman said, quote, Lower Decks literally couldn't seem funnier to me, end quote. But what does series showrunner and Star Trek superfan Mike McMahon think? Well, we've got that answer. McMahon discussed the series with Slash Film this week, explaining the premise and structure of the show. Quote, if you're watching Lower Decks, you're getting a full Star Trek episode from the perspective of people who are having their own social and emotional stories and their own sci-fi stories. But they aren't just on the bridge. They don't have the information the bridge is getting, and they don't have the responsibility. End quote. McMahon, who was the showrunner on the popular Rick and Morty, explained how Lower Decks isn't a Star Trek-skinned version of his previous show, saying, quote, a big thing that was important to me was figuring out how we do... Quote, a big thing that was important to me was figuring out how we do comedic... A big thing that was important to me was figuring out how do we comedic... A big thing that was important to me was figuring out how do we comedically access these characters? How can these characters be funny and not break Star Trek? You can't have a Morty in Star Trek. You can't just have a stupid person in Starfleet. Otherwise, it breaks the aspirational paradigm of what humanity is like in Starfleet. Paradigm?
Say paradigm?
You broke the
Sorry,
paradigm.
did you say
I thought he
paradigm?
did it on purpose.
First of all,
Elijah is the epitome of a
Tony
professional.
Hunter, you do not even have a right to make fun of the way I pronounce
You're gonna say the
paradigm.
N-word, aren't you?
I am gonna say
the N-word.
I am gonna say the N-word. So
You're
you
gonna say
need
the
to
N-word.
just sit there
Not
silently.
for tofu.
Not for tofu.
You're gonna say
Let's
the
not
N-word.
forget not for tofu. Not for tofu. I
I
just want to
be
remember.
clear that you said paradigm.
Paradigm. Got it.
Paradigm.
I'll never forget that episode. Not for tofu.
I want to set the record straight. If you
It's
actually
good
go back,
6 years later.
he never said not for tofu. He just
No.
butchered the pronunciation of Nosferatu.
All right, I
But it
butchered
morphed
the
into the joke
Yes,
of
I
not
said
for tofu.
Nosferatu, not Nosferatu.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And everyone said not for tofu.
He put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
That's right.
Right.
Got it.
You
right.
you straight up just like said it wrong.
Yes.
Paradigm.
In vampire lore, there's a certain
Paradigm?
paradigm about how these things are pronounced. and I stepped outside of that. I was the epitome of somebody who's a reader, not a listener.
I want you guys to know that I speak 2 languages, and there are times that the wires read in Spanish, and in Spanish that means paradigm.
Yeah, but that's not
I
what
was
you
going to say,
said.
what's the
you
Spanish
didn't.
word
You
for
didn't even,
paradigm?
that there was no.
You
No,
speak
because
2
it's-
languages and you failed in both.
You can't just have a stupid person in Starfleet. Otherwise, it breaks the aspirational paradigm of what humanity is like in Starfleet. So our leads are foils for each other, but they're very much ingrained in Star Trek, end quote. McMahon gave a little flavor to the series' main characters, explaining Ensign Beckett Mariner as, quote, kind of like a Captain Kirk if Kirk wasn't a captain and didn't have the power. Kirk would follow his gut, and she follows her gut, end quote. And Broimler? And Ensign Brad Boimler he later describes Ensign Brad Boimler as, quote, so by the book and so burdened by following the rules that he can't follow his gut, end quote. For more from the McMahon interview, be sure to check out our links in the show notes.
Okay, I've got to respond to this. You can't have a stupid person in Starfleet thing. I seem to remember a short trek where they had a stupid person in Starfleet.
I'm sorry, he was not stupid. He was misguided. He was very intelligent. He genetically modified tribbles. That's stupid people can't do that.
He had zero moral compass.
That's correct.
Yeah, he had no more. You can have those people, I guess, because they all seem to make admiral and then rebel against the Federation.
Yes,
Because
thank
that's
you.
better
Yes.
than ignorance or stupidity.
there you go.
Fine.
No,
Well, because you can't have a conversation about somebody who's stupid or ignorant, but you can have a conversation about somebody whose moral compass is off.
right. The key here is what he's saying, that you have to be foils for each other. Has anyone read John Scalzi's Red Shirt? Pick that up. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's about the lower decks of this massive starship, and it's all these entry-level workers who are just thrilled to be on the flagship of the fleet, and they're all kind of competing with each other and jostling for the attention of the senior officers and that kind of stuff. It goes off the rails into some sort of wacky metaphysical thing, but the setup is perfect, and that's what this is. And as long as these people are learning the job, you can be sort of incompetent, right? Because you're just starting out. You're not dumb. You don't know the ropes yet. You can compete with your friends and, like, backstab them a little bit, kind of like, haha, I got the assignment done first and you didn't, haha. I mean, there's lots of different ways that people who are junior and new to the job can make mistakes and even compete with each other and still still be in the Starfleet paradigm.
Or even a Starfleet paradigm.
That breaks it. Can't do that. Okay, I'll go. Speaking of different paradigms, oh, poor Simon Pegg. How sick you must be of answering questions about Star Trek, but bless your heart, you keep doing it. This week, Collider had the honor of asking Pegg about a possible upcoming movie that he knows very little about. Pegg was asked what he and his castmates knew about an upcoming film, to which he replied, quote, if Paramount says we'd like to do another movie, I'm sure we'll all jump at the chance. I miss those guys and I love making those films, but I just don't know. Noah Hawley's project has been mentioned and maybe that'll happen. I don't know anything about that. So yeah, I'm in the dark as everyone else. I'm in the same boat as you guys. End quote. Pegg discussed the more niche audience of Trek when compared to, say, the Marvel Universe, and offered, quote, the obvious thing to do would be not go for that massive spectacle. The obvious thing to do would be to not go. The obvious thing to do would be to not go for that massive spectacle. Go for something a little bit more restrained in the vein of the original series. Yes, that would be a brilliant thing to do, and I'm sure it's probably been discussed. You specialize a little bit more, end quote. Finally, Pegg may have talked himself out of a future Star Trek work, telling Collider, quote, maybe TV is a better place for Star Trek now. Television has evolved so much, it's become something which is very much a contemporary, a peer of cinema. It's simply viewed in a different way. It isn't a reduced scope anymore. You can still do masses of interesting things, and it can still look modern and not inexpensive. Maybe television is a better format for Star Trek. That's where it started, you know. End quote.
Yes, I mean, he's right. Television is a better place for Star Trek, but it's not the only place for Star Trek. I mean, we did have 8 very successful and entertaining Star Trek movies before the reboots.
So you're not counting Star Trek 5?
I'm not. No, I count Star Trek 5. I'm not counting the motion picture and Nemesis. They're the bookends.
The bookends. Okay.
You just go for the meat in the middle.
So I think that we're to the point now where the cast has sort of moved on. Unfortunately, Anton Yelchin died, so they're missing a seventh of the crew, and we're getting, if my math is kind of right here, the reboot Trek, the Kelvin timeline was in 2009. If they started filming today, it would probably be at least 2 years or so before we finally saw the thing. So that'd be 2022. The original series launched in 66, and the Star Trek movie was in 79. That's about the same amount of time where we went from Kirk being the young dashing captain to him being desk-bound and the old man. So we're gonna have we could have the reboot Kirk being the old man. Chris Pine could be walking under the bridge with a walker now.
But with CGI de-aging, who knows?
Oh, that's true. That good point. Good point.
I don't know if they didn't do a very good job with Brent Spiner.
well,
it's finale
or anyone they've de-aged ever.
Finale Brent Spiner, I thought, looked much better than episode 1 Brent Spiner.
That's not true, Skiffy. I think that there's been some pretty good de-aging.
Samuel L. Jackson wasn't bad in Captain Marvel. They did pretty good with him.
It wasn't bad,
but they
wasn't
had
great.
But they also had millions of
passable,
dollars.
but barely.
Yeah, but they also had millions of dollars.
True. Well, that leads us to our first community question this week. Do you think Star Trek is better suited for television, the silver screen, or is there a place for Trek on both? Let us know in the comments section for this episode at PriorityOnePodcast.com or by replying to our community question post on our social media channels like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Happens to be a great place for a video game.
That's true.
Who do you want to sweep out?
Tony Hunter.
Well, Captains, that's all the news we have to Trek out this week. Now let's find out what happened in the world of Star Trek gaming.
Everybody hit stop.
Elijah, I don't know if you saw my message, but I know what happened with the upload.
What was it?
So the first part of that error message is it needs to be between 30 and 60 seconds, and the clip is 1 minute and 8 seconds. So it's too long. I had that same problem a week or two ago.
That's weird because
Sounds like you need an audio editor.
It uploaded fine on my mobile device, which was stupid.
It uploaded.
What an audio editor will do for you is he'll take that 8 seconds and he'll cut it off.
Or
upload it to Instagram or to
or you can just
Creator
speed it
Studio.
up, pitch it up a little bit, about 3%.
Yeah,
Make
you
everyone
barely
sound
sound like
just a little bit chick monkey, but they won't notice.
Just barely. just barely.
Ay.
Makes us all sound younger.
God, I want some Tostitos
And happier.
now.
All right.
Tostitos.
What the hell? Oh shit! Who wrote this?
Yeah, you know, no. No, yes, no.
Well, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna break the
I'm gonna do it on
paradigm.
the
If
key.
you do it, you're gonna
Oh,
the paradigm
yeah.
will just
No,
break
this
all over the place.
this has to happen. This
No, it
has
doesn't.
to happen.
I love
It
it.
just doesn't. It doesn't
I
have
love
to.
it.
Excuse me.
This
I need
has to
find the
happen.
key.
Doesn't
Who
have to.
did write that?
I think it
Probably
was-
Jake.
I think it was no. I think it was the fate.
All the single ladies. All the single ladies.
Why are you guys so quiet?
Oh, I thought
Oh,
you
we're waiting
were
for you to
we were
start
waiting for you
singing.
to start singing.
You can talk amongst yourselves.
You want to help? You want to warm up? You need to warm up the old pipes.
No, I need
You
to.
need to do some vocal exercises.
You know what he does need? He needs a haircut.
We all need haircuts.
Shut
I-
up, Anthony.
Speak for yourself.
Well,
That's it.
those. I'm gonna
Okay.
do it. I'm gonna do it. You walked right into it. I have to. Those of us who still have hair need haircuts. Really bad.
There it is.
You walked
There it
right
is.
in. You walked right into it, man.
All the single.
You can't just like leave that laying around.
Look, 10 years ago, I came to the realization that my hair was falling out to the past the point of no return. So I decided to start shaving it. So
Embrace it. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
That's what you
I'm
gotta
ready.
do.
I'm gonna hit the big red button for Star Trek Online in 3, 2, 1. This is Elijah, Star Trek Online News, Sync 2.
This is Anthony, Star Trek Online News, Sync 2.
This is Tony. Star Trek Online News. Sync 4 to the power of 12 minus 47. Go.
This is Skivvy, Sing 4.
I said 2.
Stow News.
So did Elijah.
Oh,
Elijah said sync 2
Oh,
too.
I missed that.
oh,
Yeah.
Elijah said
wow.
sync
Elijah said
two?
sync 2.
Oh, it wasn't me.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
All right, wait. Now I gotta.
Well, it doesn't matter. We're
I
all
was
syncing
We're
all
wow.
together. We're
Okay.
synced.
Ready?
I've-
Stow News. All the red alerts, all the red alerts, all the red alerts, all the red alerts, all the red alerts. Now put your shields up. Oh, 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 oh.
I really
All right,
think we should have
that's enough.
practiced that, and we could have done the background singing for you.
You
We
could have.
taken care of that.
I
for
think
you.
there needed to be more to that song because it kind of ended abruptly.
Maybe.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
If Operation Delta Rising, the Draenor colony, and the Kittimer-class battlecruiser have taught us anything, it's the value of collaboration across different cultures toward our common goals. However, our less pleasant galactic neighbors have taken the hint and are launching a coordinated, multi-front offensive across the galaxy. It's teamwork that makes the existential threat work, I guess. From May 28th at 8 a.m. Pacific to June 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific, captains on the PC will be able to play all 5 red alerts. Players... Shit. From May 28th at 8 a.m. Pacific to June 4th, 10 a.m. Pacific, players on PC will be able... Captains on PC will be able to play all 5 Red Alert Task Force operations. The Borg Red Alert, the Alachi, the Tholian, the Zenkethi, and the Nakul Red Alerts. Players will receive the normal rewards for each playthrough, and each day's first completed Red Alert will also grant daily event progress on their account. After receiving 5 daily progress, players will be able progress tokens.
Progress counters.
After it's got to be tokens. After receiving 5 daily
I mean, you don't really get. You literally
Okay,
just
okay.
get progress.
After progressing through the event 5 times or 5 different days, players will be able to claim either a universal tech upgrade or specialization point grand prize for their account. The grand prize can also be purchased outright on a prorated scale relative to daily progress made in the event. Players who complete a Red Alert Task Force operation each day after getting the grand prize will receive. Players who complete a Red Alert TFO each day after getting the grand prize will receive a dilithium ore bonus, starting at 8,000 and increasing by 1,000 each day. So, now, so that there is no confusion, captains, I want to stress this. There are 5 alerts!
No, there are
No, wait,
4.
Wait. There are 5 alerts! There we go. That's better.
There's
better.
4.
That's better.
It's just the 4.
Overactor.
Just the 4.
Yes, thank you, Lawrence. We'll do that. All right. Anybody want to say anything about this?
I have a question because I was just gonna look this up, but here we go. So do we know? Well, hang on, let me check.
Do we have new hold music?
So
now? Do we have to do all the single later set of girl feature game?
We're gonna get copyright striked.
So one thing. So the
That
first
would be
question that I
awesome,
had,
actually.
which it appears as though you do not gain any progress towards the event campaign.
Correct. This is separate from the ongoing year-long event campaign where your end goal is 1,000 Lobi or 200 Lobi plus a tier 6 coupon. This
Right.
is separate from that. This would be more like the winter event, which is a separate thing, or it's just a mini event to kind of fill the gap.
It is pretty cool. I do like the idea that it's less time because you only have to do 5 days for this as opposed to the normal 14, and you get an ultimate tech upgrade or a specialization point. I think that's kind of cool to have kind of like a smaller condensed version of one of these progress events. So I think it's cool. I probably wouldn't normally jump in and do these red alerts unless I was looking for marks or needing marks. But to get a specialization point, I would hop in and do that.
Well, that brings us to our next community question this week. What's your favorite Star Trek Online red alert? Let us know why. And perhaps some of your favorite tactics. Let us know on our website, social media pages, or shoot us an email to incoming@priorityonepodcast.com. Cox, can you take this one?
Thanks.
I mean, I'm going to just say
My
Hunter and
last
Cox.
name? Oh, please don't. Please don't. I would prefer you didn't.
Fair enough, fine.
Thank you.
Yo, AC.
Bring back traumatic memories from middle school.
There you go. AC.
Yo,
AC.
Yo, AC,
Yeah,
take
AC.
it from here.
That's right, AC.
From June 2nd at 8 a.m. Pacific to June 23rd at 10 something Pacific. From June 2nd at 8 a.m. Pacific to June 23rd, 10 Pacific. Captains on console will have another crack at. From
Hey, Anthony,
June.
what is that in Central Time?
It's not standard. It's not standard, Skippy. From June 2nd at 8 a.m. Pacific to June 23rd at 10 Pacific, Captains on console will have another crack at simultaneous. From June 2nd at 8 a.m. Pacific to June 23rd at 10 Pacific, Captains on console will have another crack at simultaneous Infinity R&D and Duty Officer promotions. As usual, during the promotion, R&D packs and Duty Officer packs purchased from the C-Store and opened will grant either an additional 10 Lobi crystals or a special requisition choice pack for a Tier 6 promotional ship choice pack. At
You
this
want choice packs here. There's so much choice
there's
pack.
so many.
It's a choice pack.
It's all about the
Have a choice
packs.
pack. Come on down. Let's have a choice pack.
Choice packs are the spice of life. And this time, a new ship is making its console debut in the ship choice pack, the contentiously named La Sirena Tier 6 Heavy Raider, as seen in Star Trek Picard.
It's not contentiously named anything.
No,
It's
the
simply
name is La Sirena.
La Sirena.
Done.
Yeah, the one and only.
The La Sirena.
You mean La
will
one and only?
boot you from this Zoom call right now, AC.
You mean La one and only Serena?
That's better. I'll let that one
Sure.
slide.
Sure
no. Wait a minute.
La
Okay,
solamente Serena? Is that a little better?
Solamente uno.
All right, no, I don't want to get into this while we're in the middle of recording.
Wait. But it's not new. I don't understand how this is new.
Because it's on console. It's coming to console for the first time.
Thank you. Sorry, I missed
why
that.
Yeah.
That's the next part where it says also coming to console. Also coming to consoles from June 2nd to June 23rd.
Bird.
What? I missed that. Sorry.
It's fine.
Somebody send Skippy some ointment.
Ointment. All right, moving on.
Puts
I'll
the
call the
lotion on
ambulance
its
for the
skin.
burn. Okay. Also coming to consoles from June 2nd to June 23rd, players can assault Jaula's moon-based shipyards in the To Hell with Honor featured TFO event. Just like it was on PC, this is a unique TFO featuring space combat over a moon surface map. Destroy Jaula's ships before she can join her fleet, and deal with unexpected guests provoked by Jaula's mycelial weapon technology. This featured TFO is part 2 of the 4-part event campaign on consoles, with each day's completion rewarding 50 event campaign progress points. To see the event rewards, like the .7 drones last seen on Short Treks, follow the link to STO's blog on. Jeez. Follow the link to STO's blog in our show notes.
Picture this: you were tearing across the park on the Dyson Zone. I'm sorry, that's what that made me think of.
That was okay. You know, I'll that passes. That
All right,
checks.
thanks.
But you got to
Picture
go back
this.
and do it again for the theme of the article.
Picture this: you're tearing across the park in the Dyson Ground Battle Zone, like there or because there won't be a time.
There or because there won't be.
There will. I don't get
Like
this.
there or because like there or like
You're tearing across the park in Dyson Ground Battle Zone like there, or because there won't be a tomorrow. Like there won't be a tomorrow, or because there won't be a tomorrow.
Oh, I see.
Like or because there won't be a tomorrow. I'm trying to figure out how to fix that.
Well, just
Why
take
don't
out
you just
the,
pick
the
one?
first
take out
there.
the first
one.
there. Yeah,
Take
yeah,
out the
yeah,
first there.
Yeah, like Skiffy. Yes, take out the first there. Like or because there won't be a tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah. No, keep the
No,
like.
yeah,
take out the
the
there.
yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, it's the T.
Picture this:
Pause.
you're tearing across Picture this: you're tearing across the park in the Dyson Ground Battle Zone, like somebody.
Like,
like
or
or
because.
Picture this: you're tearing across the park in the Dyson Ground Battle Zone, like or because there won't be a tomorrow. The Voth are almost done collecting Omega particles, and you're the only one who can stop them. The V-Rex is in sight. You ready your orbital strike, and suddenly you're 50 meters away, running over the same patch of grass again. Suddenly, a Pikachu appears, and again, and seen. You, Mon Capitan, have been rubber banded. Players' complaints about lagging in massively multiplayer online games are as old as MMOs are themselves. However, Star Trek Online has allegedly been more adversely affected by the usual... Damn it. However, Star Trek Online has allegedly been a little more affected than usual. On Monday, the 25th, the official Star Trek Online Twitter account shared a link to a SurveyMonkey poll, asking players to describe their recent experiences. The poll includes your general geographic location, proxy usage, internet service provider, and in-game locations you find particularly troublesome. Links, of course, will be in our show notes.
Tell everybody to stop using Zoom. You're soaking up all the bandwidth.
I know. I mean, I don't understand how mobile gaming in any way, not mobile gaming, online gaming hasn't seen a bigger impact than Star Trek Online rubber banding.
Jamal
Speaking of
Taylor
Star-
in the chat does say causality loops are a Trek thing.
That's true. That is
It's
true.
actually a feature of Star
it's
Trek
just
Online.
it's just for immersion.
Speaking of not using Zooms, did you guys catch the article that was released this week about a team of people that started meeting in Red Dead Redemption 2? They would just
Yes.
meet around the campfire and they'd do their meetings there. I think that should be the new normal, is meeting in the video game.
I know. I mean, Star Trek Online technically does have voice over IP included in the game, like hardwired in the game.
Let's put the captain's table to use finally.
Yeah.
Oh, finally a use for the
Oh
Finally
my God.
a use for the
Next
captain's
week.
table.
Next week, we're just gonna do the live show from the captain's table.
Yes. Oh wait, I won't be here.
Well, in other Tony, all right. So AC read the Nemesis thing, and Tony sweep into that.
Right. In other gaming news, that's your cue.
Scroll down.
Sorry, I just read the note, and I'm not entirely sure why, because I'm not wasting toilet paper for a gag.
Oh, it's a Rocky Horror Picture Show thing.
Oh, okay. From Thursday, May 28th at noon Eastern Time to June 1st at noon Eastern Time, Star Trek Timelines will feature the Star Trek Timelines will feature the Blundering Terror Galaxy event for the Federation, Ferengi Alliance, and Borg factions. No details for the event narrative have been released, but we do have the following key details. The 4-star Professor Scott, Great Scott. Oh, I get it. Haha. The 4-star Professor Scott, Great Scott, will be returning as a featured crew member, joined by the new 5-star crew member, Determined Paris, and 4-star. Oh God,
Grebned blog.
Skippy, can you look up how he
Grebnedlog.
pronounces Grebnedlog? I'm
Grebnedlog.
sure.
No,
Yup,
it's
yup.
funny. It's funny. Larry Nemechek had the writer of that episode on with the Packlids, and he talked about how he named them and why they were named and whatever. And there's no real pronunciation.
it's yup, yup.
Grebnedlog. Grebnedlog. Okay. The 4-star
Utani.
Professor Scott, Great Scott, will be returning as a featured crew member, joined by the new
Oh, I see.
5-star crew
Professor
member,
Scott,
Determined.
and then you're supposed to say, "Great Scott!"
Yeah,
But you know what? Well,
yeah.
In this
Okay,
one,
so Rocky Horror Picture Show, Scott toilet paper, Scott brand toilet tissue, Professor Scott, Great Scott, and then you throw the toilet paper. So there's the joke. I don't know if it's funny, or if we should leave it in.
Well,
Well,
it was.
sight gags don't usually work on podcasts.
I was gonna say this is the thing you do in a crowded movie theater, lots
that's
of people.
fine. That's fine.
not
That's fine.
in
But I'm gonna
fashion
get that.
right
I'm
now.
gonna pull the audio for Great Scott of
right now.
Back to the Future.
But it's not. Are we doing a Back to the Future joke or a Rocky Horror Picture Show joke?
Yes.
Holy cow!
All right.
Audio editors, take note. We're doing a Back to the Future
Too many-
slash Rocky Horror Picture Show
many
visual
memes.
gag
Too many
in the
memes.
audio. Make that happen. Go.
The 4-star Professor Scott will be returning as a featured crew member, joined by the new 5-star crew member, Determined Paris, and 4-star Grebnedlog. Grebnedlog, for those whose rubber bands may be broken, is the captain of the Packlet ship in the TNG episode Sumerian Snare.
Samaritan.
As
Samaritan.
Samaritan?
There's a T.
That's Sumerian.
I'm-
It's not. It's not Ghostbusters.
I'm pretty sure that's how they pronounce it in the show.
It's written Samaritan.
I understand, but
Sumerians is a race in Star Trek, but this is the show, the episode Samaritan Snare.
It's
No,
a play
it's
on the
Samaritan.
Good Samaritan, where you stop and help somebody, and then they
Right,
try to stab you.
Right.
It's Samaritan.
No, okay.
Samaritan.
I'm pretty sure that was the name of the race that left the.
Sumerians.
If he just told you.
Anyway,
It's a
But that's
play on
not
words.
what they're referencing yet.
Samaritan. Sorry.
It's a pun.
Grebnedlog, for those of you who
Allegory.
Grebnedlog, who Greb
Fontini!
Grebnedlog, for those of you whose Grebnedlog, for those of you whose rubber bands may be broken, is the captain of the Packlet ship in the TNG episode Samaritan Snare. As always, event crew members grant the highest bonuses. However, variants of Tom Paris, Montgomery Scott, and crew members with the thief trait will also make you strong. I get it. However, variants of Tom Paris, Montgomery Scott, and crew members with the thief trait will also make you strong and make your faction go. The winning faction may not attain the 24th level of awareness, but they will receive a new 5-star Kira variant for crew. The winning faction may not attain the 24th level of awareness, but they will receive a new 5-star Kira variant crew member. 20th century science fiction author Kay Eaton, seen in the DS9 episode Far Beyond the Stars, will be a featured crew member in the next event starting on June 4th.
Well, that's all the news we have to cover this week in Star Trek gaming news. Now, let's open hailing frequencies and see what's incoming. Everybody hit stop.
Grebnug log.
Yubnub.
I'm really curious who wrote what this week, because there's definitely a tonal shift in Stowe News today. A clear tonal shift. So,
Well,
Panda or Shane, who wrote what? I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rocky. Horror Picture Show
is
didn't come out of the
Panda
blue.
is Panda helping to write?
Stowe News now, yeah.
Yeah, that clearly, yes.
Rocky Horror Picture
I am
Show
not,
that makes so
I
much
am
more
not
sense.
complaining about the tonal shift. I actually quite enjoyed it. I'm just curious who wrote what and where. And it was a good-
it's funny though. It helps to know that, because that would have helped me deliver that.
Oh.
Also, you can go back in the edit history of Google Docs and find out who added that stuff.
That's great.
Hey, I
I
just
would
wanna say
rather
this while I have the opportunity. I'm looking at a storm out my window, and there's some red stuff heading towards the blue stuff. And I think I'm the blue thing.
the red thing.
The red blobs go for
Is that from Galaxy
green
Quest?
blob. I think
Hey,
with the green
red
blob.
The
red dot is
the
coming
blue dot.
towards the green dot.
I showed that to my
I
kids.
think we're the blue dot.
I showed that to my kids a week or so ago, and they enjoyed it.
Did you guys watch the documentary? I really enjoyed
Yeah.
the documentary.
Yeah, I watched the documentary
Which documentary?
The Galaxy Quest
on
documentary.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Never
I
give
enjoyed
up,
that as
never
well.
surrender, or never surrender.
Yeah.
I think it's just what
Yeah,
it's
It was
called.
good.
Yeah, I liked it. All right, I'm going to hit the big red button for feedback in 3.
Wait,
2,
so before
1.
you hit start, there is a strong possibility that if I lose power, I will just disappear, and in that case, just go on without me. But I will have lost anything in my editor, so I'm going to try to talk very little from this point out.
Okay. All right, I'm going to hit the big red button in 3, 2, 1. This is Elijah. Feedback, sync 1.
This is Anthony. Feedback sync 2.
This is Tony. Feedback. Sync 3.
Am I saying 2?
We did it.
Not
No,
that
we did it
time.
right
That
this
time you said
time.
one.
We did it
You
right this time.
Feedback in 3.
So good.
2.
Let's give you feedback second 4.
Oh, yeah.
We did it right this time, except we forgot to give me. So close.
That's okay. I probably
He
not gonna
did
say
just
anything anyway.
he did just tell us he was going to talk very little.
Yeah, that
so
he did.
close.
All right, feedback in 3, 2. Well, Captains, hailing frequencies are now open, and we're ready to receive all of your incoming messages.
Last week, our first community question was, would you like to see Jeffrey Combs play Dr. Boyce in Star Trek New Voyages?
On
Strange New
Facebook,
Worlds.
Michael Revitz writes in, absolutely. Apart from being an outstanding actor, Combs is Trek alum and has a strong understanding of the source material. It's a shame he isn't in any of the new Trek, and in my opinion, is long overdue to sit in the captain's chair.
I agree. He did have a stint in Star Trek Online in the Discovery starter experience as an Andorian captain. But yeah, I would love to see him play an actual captain on the screen. That would be cool.
Wait, was he not an Andorian captain in Enterprise?
But
He was.
well, not
Yeah.
a Starfleet captain.
Oh, right.
Well,
He would have been in season 5, though, according to the showrunner.
From Facebook, Michael DeSorcy says, no, I don't think that the Discovery writers would have any idea how to properly leverage the diverse talents of Jeffrey Combs. The writers thus far have demonstrably shown that everything they know about the Pike era comes from the first 10 minutes of The Cage, so they'd probably have Combs playing a caricature of Boyce, constantly pouring shots and making ridiculous psychoanalyzing statements about everyone around him. I'd rather not see Combs disrespected and given a terrible role.
Ooh, this is
wow.
Michael's
Burn.
angry.
Sick burn.
Those are some sick burns.
It's a little vague. I wish Michael would have gotten right to the point on his opinion. But I can understand that opinion. I do want to say it's not going to be the Discovery writers writing it. I mean, there probably will be a couple of them coming over, but I think they'll hire new writers. But I think he has a little bit of a point. Let's hope that they really embrace the whole, the whole era of TOS instead of just the first 10 minutes of The Cage.
Yeah. The legit concern is that one of the characters has to be sort of the comic relief, right? They've got to have Guy, right? They got to have they have to have the security guy who's the comic relief. So, but hopefully they wouldn't ask Combs to be that guy.
I would like to debate the point about them not. I do want to debate the point of Pike and how they kind of, I don't know, made up the character of Pike. I mean, I've watched The Cage and The Menagerie several times, and I think that Anson Mount's portrayal of Pike is pretty much along the lines of what we saw Jeffrey Hunter do. I mean, and then again, on top of that, lest we forget that was written in the 60s, and that Pike was kind of a dick, and a misogynistic dick. And here, Anson Mount fleshed out the character. They wrote a fleshed out Christopher Pike, a seasoned character who has seen some crap and is a better person for the experience he had, and is a better person for the experiences he had on Talos.
This is like a familiar conversation to anybody that's had the experience of telling someone who grew up or who was around in the 70s about the new Battlestar Galactica and how Starbuck's a girl now. And for some people, they just can't get over it. But the new Starbuck is much more fleshed out. So she's a real person. She's not just blonde and dumb like the original Starbuck, the man, was. It's having more time with the character and more lines and more characters to interact with, I think, gives the actor a lot bigger opportunity to deal with that kind of stuff. And Mountain did a good job. So that's why he's coming back.
What do you hear, Tony?
Nothing but the rain. What are we doing here now?
Jamal, Anthony?
From Instagram, Jamal Taylor writes, Jeffrey Combs as Dr. Boyce? Sure. We need to get back to the tradition of having familiar actors show up in unfamiliar roles and not just to be killed off.
Our second community question was, are you interested in the new Muds Market time-stealing bundle? If so, what ships would you choose?
From Facebook, Michael Revitz writes again, yes, I bought the pack and I'm not happy with it. The Amari is great. The Amari is a great account unlock. The rest is just filler for PWE to justify the price tag. I would have gladly paid $75 for just the Amari account unlock I would have gladly paid $75 for just the Amari account unlock and would have been happy. I sense the other two ships/tokens are only there so they can charge the $150 for the bundle. Also, great interview this week with Jonathan Del Arco. I really hope to see him in future Star Trek shows and back on the podcast. Live long and prosper.
Thank you, Michael. We had a great time interviewing Jonathan last week. It was a real pleasure and honor to sit with him and chat. With respect to the bundle, last week, I was quoting the United States unemployment rates and how people just can't afford how people may not be able to afford big bundles like this. I want to make it clear that I wasn't saying that Cryptic shouldn't find ways of making money, right? And that they nor am I suggesting that they should be giving things away. I think that given what's going on in the world, I think all companies need to get creative in how they sell products like this. I think just across the board, they need to adjust to, people who may not have the money or the means to make these purchases. But that's not to say I don't expect Cryptic to be selling items. I just wish they would get a little more creative about it.
From PriorityOnePodcast.com, Tyler Maxwell writes in and says, possibly a 50% off sale is nice, but I wonder if a future 75 or 80% off sale would be even better and worth waiting for, though no guarantees that it'll ever happen. I'd probably opt for the former lockbox/promo ships, if only to be able to get them account-wide.
That is something to think about, is that sometimes those Muds Market items go on sale for 80+% off. I wonder if that might actually happen with this bundle at some point.
I got the sense that when this 2-week promotion was over, that it was going to disappear off the store, like the Legendary bundle did.
No, this is in Muds Market. This'll stay in there, but at the full price probably for a while.
All right, everybody hit stop. I saw Skiffy take his breath that he wanted to say something, and I was half expecting him to go, and then power down.
Lightning strike. Lightning.
Lightning McQueen.
Lightning McQueen. I also, speaking of lightning, I introduced my kids to Short Circuit yesterday.
Oh.
They
95
loved
alive.
it. They loved it. They argued with me about watching a movie. They're like, we don't want to watch a movie. We want to watch something. And I'm like, just watch it for 10 minutes. And if you want me to turn it off, I'll turn it off. They sat glued to the TV for the hour and 45 minutes.
Now you have to do batteries not included.
Dude, that movie is so slow.
That's
that
adorable.
movie moves at a snail's pace.
That's adorable.
I love it. I loved it as a kid, but I tried. In fact, I'm pretty sure I tried showing it to them a year ago, and it's that movie. Cool. Is that
Speaking of movies that little kids don't like, and they go too slow, it's hard to get somebody nowadays who is a little younger than, say, me, to watch The Last Starfighter. It's hard.
Oh,
to get people
that's on my list. I have the special. I have the
Oh, he hasn't seen
anniversary
it.
Blu-ray. You haven't
He
seen
hasn't
it?
seen it.
You haven't seen it either?
Who hasn't seen it?
Skiffy hadn't seen it, and I made him stop what he was doing. We were playing Elite Dangerous, and we were doing some skirmishes and stuff. And I made him turn on his Netflix or whatever, Plex or something, and made him watch it. And he didn't get into it. You haven't watched it either, Anthony? You haven't watched it?
No,
either?
I have the.
Oh, you got the Blu-ray. Okay, his kids haven't watched it.
He
His
was.
kids haven't watched it.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
fine.
see, that makes much more sense.
That's on my list to show them. I have the
To
20th.
show them,
I have the
right.
20th anniversary
You
Blu-ray
said
right
it was
here.
on the
Yeah.
list. I thought you
Yes.
meant you hadn't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, no. That would have made no sense to me. That would have made no sense to me. Yes. Anthony has seen it. I mean,
I got it for $7. I got it for $7. I don't know if you can see that.
That's a hell of a
Tony,
steal.
Hey Tony, you remember this moment right now? It's important. It's gonna go back. This moment right here. It's gonna be important.
It's gonna be important. I was cueing him into the whole when the guy that when the guy with the diner was saying you got to grab on both hands and hold tight. I said Skippy, pay attention, Skippy. That's important. You're gonna need to remember that part. And then he goes up to the video game and he's like, "Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited." I said, Skippy. He's been recruited to defend the Star League. Pay attention. Remember that. It's important.
Because he's the last Starfighter.
My kids are so much into video games right now. I'm gonna play this and say, this is what happens when you play too much video games.
Then they're gonna be like
aliens come down and
Sucked into
abduct you.
Minecraft.
Aliens
The
come
last
down and
Minecraft.
abduct you, and then you have to save the galaxy.
The last Roblox.
The last
Roblox.
There needs to be a Last Starfighter sequel. Why is this? Why is
or a
this
reboot or
boring?
something.
I'm sorry, but it was literally the last Starfighter, so there can't be a sequel.
It can't be any more.
The Last Starfighter again.
But they left a cliffhanger there where he's going to rebuild
Titanic
the
2? Anyone?
No, the sequel will be called The First Starfighter. That's what the sequel will be called.
Ooh, the
See?
first Starfighters.
No. You have to be the first Starfighter because it's just him, right? He's got to. It's like, hey, way to go. So, what's your plan to rebuild the Starfighters? He's like, I just got here. I'm a teenager from Earth. What do you mean? What's my plan?
Advisory Panda, The Last Starfighter 2, The Fight for More Money.
Directed by Mel Brooks.
We can finish the show now if you want to, Elijah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Welcome to Priority
Bye.
Last, the Last
Bye.
Starfighter
Oh, didn't see you there.
podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was done talking, so we can finish the show now, Elijah, if you want to.
Oh.
Wait, Elijah, have you seen
I've had
The
my
Last
fill of this
Starfighter?
conversation. Yeah.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah, he didn't.
Yes.
Yeah, he
You
didn't
haven't
like it.
seen
Of
it?
course, I've seen it. Of course.
No, he hasn't seen it.
Oh my god!
Yeah. of
All
course
right,
I've seen
we
it.
can't finish
Oh, yeah.
the show. We need to
Here's
stop
what
what
we
you're
do.
doing. Go watch it.
After
and
hours.
Come back and we'll
After
do.
hours, we leave and go get Tostitos. We come back.
That's right.
And we
we
watch
order
The Last
Tostitos from Amazon. They'll ship it to us by FedEx.
They'll
And-
All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit the big red button for closing in 3, 2,
Not
1.
sponsored by Tostitos.
It would have been funnier had you not stumbled on Tostitos.
I know.
This is Elijah closing sync 1.
This is Anthony closing sync 2.
This is Tony wishing for some mojitos to go with my Tostitos Sync 3.
What a dick. I'm saying it out loud now.
Sing 4.
Okay. Closing in 3, 2. Well, that wraps up episode 462 of Priority 1. Well, that wraps up episode 462 of Priority 1, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. But there are more great shows available to you on the Roddenberry Podcast Network. Just visit podcasts.roddenberry.com for a complete list. Then be sure to subscribe to them all and share them with your friends.
But we can't forget to send a special thanks to some of our Patreon supporters like David K. Rutley and Peter Archibald.
And of course, here's a reminder of our community questions this week. Do you think Star Trek is better suited for television, the silver screen, or is there a place for Trek on both? And in gaming, what's your Star Trek Online red alert of choice? Tell us why, and perhaps some of your techniques to get through them.
Captains, it's important to us that you get your voice heard and that you participate in the conversation. Leave us a comment on our website at PriorityOnePodcast.com. Leave us a comment on our website at PriorityOnePodcast.com, on our Facebook page at Facebook.com/PriorityOnePodcast, or find us on Twitter and Instagram at PriorityOnePod.
And if you're still craving more, be sure to spend time with Winters, Kat, and me, and the rest of the... And if you're still craving more, be sure to spend time with Winters, Kat, me, and the rest of the Priority One Armada. Saturday nights, the Armada broadcasts live to review the latest news from Star Trek Online and the Armada community, including spotlighting some of our amazing members. With regular giveaways, there is something for all STO players, whether you are new or a veteran. Follow us on all our social media accounts for broadcast times. And if you'd like to join the Armada, visit PriorityOneArmada.com. What?
Let's just...
Nothing you did. Nothing you did.
Oh, okay. All right. As long as I didn't mess something up.
No, it wasn't you.
Good.
This episode of Priority One Podcast is brought to you by Starfighter. This episode of Priority One Podcast is brought to you by our patrons through patreon.com. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/Priority1. And even if you cannot make a financial contribution, the next best thing you can do is to spread the word about this show. Invite your fellow Trekkies. It's your support that keeps us going.
Don't forget to tune in to Priority One Productions' Guard Frequency podcast at guardfrequency.com. Each episode, the Guard takes you inside the universe of your favorite space sims, including a star-fighting tabletop adventure played out by your hosts. And Heroes Rise brings you up to date with the world of Dungeons & Dragons. Learn all about the latest publications, tools, tips, tricks, and traps in less time than it takes to skin a wyvern. Head over to heroesrisepodcast.com to discover their secrets.
A very special thanks to our guest host this week and social media manager, Anthony. Can't say his last name. Thanks to our audio editors, including Gray, William, Brandon,
Brandon, and
Dan. Right this time. Thanks to our audio.
Last time?
I said Bran.
You said Brand last time. Brand, and Dan. He just went right through it.
Thanks to our audio editors, including Gray, William, Brandon, Rand, Daniel, Roscoe, and Skiffy. Thanks to our producer, Jake Morgan, and associate producer, Shane Hoover, with support from Advisory Panda of the Priority One Armada. Together, they help us organize and write up our summary of the weekly headlines from the Star Trek multiverse. Thanks to our I already thanked you. Thanks to our graphic artists.
You get one thank you.
Thanks,
That's
but
it.
no thanks.
That's it.
Thanks to
In
our
the contract. One virtual high five.
Thanks to our graphic artist, Henry Pomper, with support from Jason Smith of the Priority One Armada. Thanks to the composer of our theme music, Chris Watts. But most importantly, a big thanks to you, the Star Trek community, our listeners, because without your ongoing support, none of this would be possible. Everybody hit stop. Did you guys listen to last week's show? Those of you in the chat right now? I mean, I'm sorry, not in
I
the
hope
chat.
so. I would think so.
Oh, God.
What?
What?
Nothing. I got it back.
You weren't recording.
Anyway,
Oh,
No,
you
I
hit
deleted.
delete.
I deleted it.
Skiffy, Anthony, Tony, did you guys listen to last week's show?
Yes. It was
Listen
yes.
to it. I lived it.
Of course you did.
I was there. I was live. I was there when it happened.
Did nobody wants to say anything about my little crickets thing when Anthony was like, I love Discovery.
That was very funny, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings any more than they probably already have been.
It was
That's okay.
Inserting
That's
audio
okay.
effects in his opinion.
Certain
it was like it
people-
was
Here's the salt. Here's the wound.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
What's the wound? Certain people who listen to this podcast have described me as a beacon of light. So a beacon of hope. A beacon of hope.
Is that like a lens flare of hope? It's like a lens. It's like a lens flare.
I'm so bright. I'm so
shining.
bright. I'm breaking the screen.
That's
You know,
right,
you
you're right.
asking Siri to repeat that back to you doesn't count.
All
Yeah,
right,
no,
captains. Well, that wraps up our live broadcast recording of episode 462 of Priority One. I want to thank everybody who joined us in the chat. Captain Zianto, Advisory Panda, of course. Jamal, watching us on all the platforms. Thank you, Jamal. And Simi. Simi was watching us on Periscope earlier. I saw him say hello. So, big shout out to everybody for chatting with us tonight and keeping the chat alive. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back next week. Until then, say good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Command codes verified. Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.